I knew I loved her.
Would bring close to $250,000.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
What we have here are two intriguing paintings inherited by the guest from her aunt.
They had been handed down from her husband's uncle, who was also from Toledo. He was a physician who traveled the world.
One of these paintings, titled September Sea, depicts a scene of Ogunquit, Maine, and was created by Cullen Yates. Yates, an American painter, was well known for his luminous and atmospheric landscapes, often portraying the countryside of New England and rural areas of Pennsylvania. He primarily worked in oils and watercolors and was associated with the American Impressionist movement. Typical of Yates's work, this particular painting is done in oil and is signed in the bottom right corner, adding to its authenticity. The artist skillfully employed both brushwork and palette knife techniques to create a lively and colorful scene. Upon restoring the painting, the guest discovered letters written by Yates to her ancestor.
Letters from the artist to my uncle's uncle, and talking about the commission of the painting.
It's a lovely scene of Maine, and your letters reference that, which is very important as far as establishing where this is.
At auction, given the provenance of this piece, an appraiser estimated its value at
Estimated around $20,000 to $30,000.
Oh my goodness, no!
While the current market value of this painting is estimated to have come up a bit and is said to have hit $35,000. The second painting, titled Wild Morning Glories, was created by Charles Courtney Curran. Curran, an American Impressionist painter, is best known for his canvases featuring women in various settings. Typical of Curran's style, this painting portrays a young woman in a garden admiring a flower she holds in her hand. Highly collectible, and at the time this video was made, this work by Curran was valued at
I put an estimate of $40,000 to $60,000, and it might even do above that.
Oh my!
A more recent market assessment places its value between $60,000 and $90,000. Have you ever wondered how an artist could paint paper so convincingly that it seems to flutter off the canvas? In 1885, John Haberle's extraordinary attention to detail achieved just that, blurring the line between illusion and reality with every brushstroke. On display is a painting and a sketchbook created around 1885 by John Haberle, who is the guest's great-great-grandfather. Haberle, an American painter known for his trompe-l'oeil style, painted still-life objects with such meticulous detail that his works could easily be mistaken for the objects themselves.
He's in a long line of the tradition of trompe-l'oeil. People think of Harnett and Pito, who are the great American trompe-l'oeil painters, and he's really the generation after that.
He employed incredible precision to create a three-dimensional effect, making his subjects appear astonishingly real. The painting humorously depicts a playful scene, a cat stretching out its paw toward a bird in a cage. The texture of the cat's fur, the gleam of the bird cage, and the bird's feathers are rendered with remarkable accuracy. Additionally, the juxtaposition of a predator, the cat, and its potential prey, the bird, can be interpreted as a commentary on themes such as restraint, captivity, or the natural order. In an auction setting, this lifelike painting by Haberle is appraised at
An insurance value on your painting of approximately $30,000.
On the other hand, there is also a book containing several sketches by Haberle. What makes these sketches particularly special is that it was uncommon for Haberle to create figure drawings like those featured in this collection. Given their rarity, the sketches as a set are valued at around $6,000.
It would be worth approximately $6,000, so I'd say you have at least...
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Few people have ever seen an original letter written by Abraham Lincoln, let alone had the opportunity to delve deeply into its meaning. Fortunately, we are presented with a letter written by Lincoln to the guest's great-great-grandfather. Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, served from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. Within this letter lies an emotional expression of disappointment directed at the guest's ancestor regarding his political decisions.
Here, I have just learned with utter astonishment that you have some notion of voting for Walters. This certainly cannot be true.
Lincoln's handwriting in the letter is legible yet uneven, a reflection of his largely self-taught background. Most of his letters were written with a steel or quill pen dipped in ink, tools commonly used in the 19th century. Adding to the letter's historical value is the presence of Lincoln's signature, and it is dated to the 1840s. It is exceedingly rare to encounter a letter from Lincoln in which he expresses such raw emotion, as he is often remembered as a calm, steady, and composed individual.
Even the handwriting in this letter is agitated and almost angry.
Remarkably, even more than a century after it was written, this letter remains in excellent condition. In this state, an appraiser estimates its auction value to be between $75,000 and $125,000.
Park of $75,000 to $125,000 at auction. What do you think of that?
I had no idea.
A more recent appraisal has broadened the estimated value range to $50,000 to $250,000. Campaign flags are an essential part of political branding and are often used during election rallies and other campaign events. This particular flag is a historical and iconic symbol of Abraham Lincoln's presidential campaign in 1864. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States, serving from 1861 until his assassination in 1865 while attending a play at Ford's Theatre in Washington. Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Kentucky. He had less than a year of formal education, but loved reading and self-education. His legacy is profound. His commitment to preserving the Union, ending slavery, and promoting equality and liberty continues to inspire Americans and people around the world. Interestingly, on this campaign flag, the name Abraham Lincoln didn't fit, so it was shortened to Abram Lincoln, which was a common practice in those days. At the time of this campaign, he was running against McClellan, a Democratic nominee and a former Union general. The 1864 election was a pivotal moment in American history, as it took place during the American Civil War. Lincoln's victory at the polls allowed him to preside over the successful conclusion of the war. According to the appraiser, this Lincoln presidential campaign flag is valued at
The value would be $8,000 to $12,000 at auction.
Currently, the value of this presidential campaign flag is estimated to be between $14,700 and $16,800. This guest worked for Hallmark Cards in Kansas City, Missouri, before relocating to California 33 years ago, and happens to be a longtime fan of Peanuts. Inspired by the guest's love for the characters, he proposed the idea of featuring Peanuts on greeting cards, and successfully sold the concept to Hallmark's creative team. This collaboration led to the creation of a comprehensive line of Hallmark Peanuts products. The guest first worked with Charles Schutz in 1960, and over the course of 12 years, they developed numerous Hallmark Peanuts products. During this time, Schultz generously gifted the guest original Peanut strips and artwork, including pencil sketches he created for the Snoopy's Daily Dozen exercise booklet. Furthermore, the guest provided feedback on these sketches, suggesting modifications such as adjusting character poses or adding details. These pencil drawings, which feature both Schultz's and the guest's input, are a testament to the close working relationship they shared.
This is Schultz's pencil, and these are my pencil comments on them.
The collection also includes a Sunday strip from 1957 to 1959 titled It's Only a Game, which, while not directly related to the Peanuts characters, showcases Schultz's skill as a cartoonist.
He was a great, humble person that had a tremendous insight into human nature, as millions of Peanuts fans will tell you.
Its freshness to the market is notable, as it has been kept in the guest's possession for many years, without being sold or exposed to the market. The items are vintage, originating from the late 1950s to the early 1960s, a prime period in the Peanuts franchise's history. The presence of iconic characters like Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Linus, and Lucy adds to the collection's appeal among Peanuts enthusiasts. Each of the 14 daily exercise panels featuring key Peanuts characters is highly valued due to its historical importance and rarity, and would sell for a significant value of.
Each of these is $6,000 to $9,000. Each piece.
The current value of the 14 daily exercise panels featuring key Peanuts characters is a remarkable $25,000 each. The daily, featuring Charlie Brown in all 4 panels, is from the early 1960s. Its conservative estimated price would be,
again, conservative estimate, $8,000 to $10,000 for that daily.
A more recent estimate value of a 1960s Peanuts daily comic strip featuring Charlie Brown is approximately $20,000. The pencil roughs, while not as visually striking as the finished pieces, hold significant value because they represent an important part of the creative process and would be auctioned at a value of.
And a conservative estimate on that would be $4,000 to $6,000 as a group.
The current estimated value of pencil roughs by Charles Schultz is around $5,000, though it can vary depending on the specific piece and its historical significance. The Sunday pages from 1959, featuring popular Peanuts characters, are particularly desirable in the collector's market and are valued at a significant price of.
Conservative side, I'm going to estimate these anywhere from $12,000 to $18,000 each.
The more recent value of a 1959 Peanut Sunday page featuring popular characters is approximately $52,500, based on recent auction results. Although It's Only a Game does not feature Peanuts characters, its historical significance still contributes to its value, estimated at.
You got to estimate these at $4,000 to $6,000 each.
The current value of an original It's Only a Game comic strip by Charles Schulz is approximately $13,200. Overall, the estimated auction prices for these pieces are considerably high, with an expected value of.
So you come out anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000.
Not a good place for them anymore.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Going by the recent estimates, it's deduced that this piece has reduced in value a bit due to many factors, which now place its current auction price at $115,700. Presented here is a painting inherited by the guest from his grandmother, who acquired it in the Philippines. The grandmother, who lived in the Philippines during the 1930s, remained there through significant historical events.
Grandfather was interred by the Japanese when they came in the 40s there, and she got out. She came back to pick him up.
She stayed in the Philippines until approximately 1948, when his grandfather passed away. Around that time, the grandmother purchased the painting directly from the artist, Fernando Amorsolo. In that period, the grandmother resided in Baguio, leading the guest to believe the artist might have been local to the area. However, Fernando Amorsolo was born in Manila in 1892 and studied art at a young age. He graduated from an art academy in Manila in 1914 and subsequently traveled to Spain, where he honed his skills and developed a fascination with light and its interplay with heat. During his time in Spain, he sketched extensively, capturing the vibrancy of the streets. In the late 1910s, Amorsolo briefly moved to New York before returning to the Philippines, where he gained recognition for his mastery of light and his depictions of rural Filipino life.
He was influenced by the post-war Impressionist paintings, seeing the abstract work and their use of light and brushstrokes.
Amorsolo became renowned for his genre and nature scenes, often depicting the midday heat of Manila. This piece features fruit pickers under the tree, with highlights on the scarf and shoulder that demonstrate his remarkable skills.
And the highlight on this lady's scarf and on her shoulders here to show again the wonderful use of light that he was a master.
Yeah.
The painting is signed and dated 1948, a period considered significant in Amorsolo's career. In the later years of his life, particularly in the 1960s, Amorsolo began losing his eyesight, which affected the clarity of his work. Paintings from earlier periods, such as 1948, are highly sought after and hold considerable artistic and historical value. Piqued with curiosity of the gem he has, the guest had the painting appraised earlier before coming to the Roadshow.
I went to an appraiser here in LA, and he gave me an appraisal of about $4,000 and offered me $2,000.
Given the status of this painting as a major work, this distinctive piece would command a significant value of
range of $25,000 to $35,000.
Oh man. I'm glad I didn't take 4 or 2.
However, with further probe into related oil paintings, the current estimated value of this Fernando Amorsolo painting is around $1.15 million, following its record sale in 2024. What makes Paul Troubetzkoy's 1924 bronze sculpture a timeless masterpiece of motion and emotion? Paul Troubetzkoy, an Italian sculptor of Russian origin, was described by George Bernard Shaw as the most astonishing sculptor of modern times. This 1924 bronze sculpture stands out for its exceptional portrayal of motion and emotion, showcasing Troubetzkoy's mastery in capturing lifelike realism.
Born in Italy, the second son of a Russian prince, and his mother was an American lyric singer.
Really?
The artist signed and dated this captivating work as 1924. According to the guest, the sitter in the sculpture is her mother, who was 7 years old in 1924.
Her family, her father came over to do the reconstruction after World War I. He was a lumberman, and the family was over there living in France.
Some of Troubetzkoy's works are frequently displayed in renowned museums and private collections. This piece embodies the broader artistic movement of the 20th century, as the artist sought to capture dynamic motion and emotional depth in his work.
Did animal topics, he did famous personalities, politicians of the time, intellectual thinkers.
Troubetzkoy employed innovative techniques such as modeling his figures with fluid, dynamic poses and utilizing the lost wax casting process to create fine detail in bronze. The sculpture reflects the 1924 era's emphasis on modernity, movement, and emotional expression, capturing the post-World War I desire for renewal and healing through art. According to the appraisal, some of the figures that have come up on the market tend to be less personal in nature and more recognizable. In terms of retail price, considering the artist's provenance, this bronze would be valued at
retail price in the $20,000 range. So it's a very valuable piece.
Finally, the current value of this bronze sculpture is a remarkable $31,517. In the early 20th century, René Lalique transformed perfume bottles into masterpieces that combined art and functionality. Lalique was a French jeweler, medalist, and glass designer, renowned for creating exquisite glass art. Perfume bottles, vases, chandeliers, clocks, and automobile hood ornaments. This collection of perfume bottles featured on the show captures the golden age of fragrance design. These bottles were collected over many years by the guest's mother and later inherited by the guest.
I believe her mother traveled, and that's why I believe several of the pieces may be from out of the country.
One of these bottles, the one closest to the guest, is referred to as a Bohemian bottle. This piece is typical of those made in the Czech Republic during the early 1930s. At the center of this collection are bottles that are characteristic of Venetian glass design. Venetian glass is renowned for its exceptional quality, featuring hand-blown glass crafted using centuries-old techniques. Additionally, the collection includes 2 perfume bottles made by the French company René Lalique. Both feature high-quality crystal or frosted glass with a smooth satin finish. One of these bottles has a condition issue, a broken stopper caused by improper handling over time, which could potentially affect its value.
Stopper has been stuck in there, and someone's trying to force it out perhaps, and they've broken it.
In this condition, the appraiser estimates the bottle's value to be,
I'm afraid it's worth about $100 at the most.
The second Lalique bottle, designed in 1912 during the early years of Lalique's career, is called Oreille Épine. The body of the bottle is crafted from frosted glass, giving it a soft, matte appearance. It was originally created for a specific perfume house, as Lalique often collaborated with luxury perfumers during this period.
It's exquisitely made in a way that Lalique kind of experimented with when he was an early glassmaker.
Perfume bottles like this one are rare and highly collectible. At auction, this piece would be worth
to sell for between $30,000 and $40,000.
Oh my gosh!
In April 2022, an Oreille Épine bottle sold for $84,000 at the Perfume Bottles auction, surpassing previous records. Musical instruments are an integral part of human culture, with a rich history dating back thousands of years. Our guest today presents us with a stringed musical instrument known as the violin, which is regarded as one of the most popular and expressive instruments.
It was inherited by my immediate family about 30 years ago, and frankly, it's been sitting in a closet for the last 30 years.
Interestingly, the family of our guest believes this violin is from the 16th century because it features a label that says Gaspar Tiefenbrücker 1519. Gaspar Tiefenbrücker was a renowned German luthier, stringed instrument maker, considered one of the most important violin makers of his time. His violins were highly prized by collectors and musicians. The appraiser points out the unique nature of this violin, highlighting that it features a carved man's head instead of the traditional spiral scroll at the headstock.
Some people believe that to be the head of the maker, Gaspar Tiefenbrücker.
He further notes that the carving on this violin is exceptionally detailed, especially the beard, eyes, and other facial features. This raises the first doubt about whether this violin was made in the 16th century.
There is actually an etching that exists of Gaspar Tiefenbrücker that this is taken from.
Moving to the bottom of the violin, one can notice the presence of a beautifully inlaid, flamed maple fingerboard. On the face of the violin, various relief carved motifs are visible.
On the sides, we see wood inlaid to look like an old city scene.
Furthermore, the back of this violin features 3 types of decoration: relief carving at the top, oil painting, and intricate inlaid wood that depicts a scene of an ancient city. From these details, the appraiser concludes that this violin is a French instrument made in the 1800s, possibly by the shop of Derazay in Miracourt, France. The shop of Derazay, also known as the Derazay Workshop, was a renowned violin-making atelier located in the Vosges region of northeastern France. On display alongside the violin is a case and bow that belonged to the guest's great-aunt. Notably, the bow has some condition issues as the hair is broken.
The hair is broken on it. As we take it out, we see that it's actually a very fine bow.
The bow is estimated to have been made in the 1940s in the shop of Eugène Sartory in Paris. It features a mother-of-pearl inlay in the eye of the frog.
It has a mother-of-pearl inlay in the eye
of the frog.
The Eugène Sartori shop, established in 1893, specialized in crafting high-quality bows for stringed instruments, including violins, violas, and cellos.
This bow by Eugène Sartori is a classic example of one of the most innovative makers of the 20th century.
The appraiser notes that in today's auction market, this violin would command a price of
It's between $3,000 and $4,000.
Meanwhile, the bow by the Eugène Sartori shop would attract a more remarkable value of
Violin shop, $14,000 to $15,000 today.
Holy smokes.
Considering recent trends, the violin is valued at $3,500 to $5,300, while the Eugène Sartori bow is estimated at $17,100 to $21,000. Have you ever wondered how time was kept during the American Revolution? This Aaron Willard shelf clock, crafted around 1785, not only tells the hour, but also narrates a story of early American innovation and artistry. Aaron Willard was an entrepreneur, industrialist, and clock designer who worked extensively in his Roxbury, Massachusetts factory during the early years of the United States of America.
Aaron Willard was born in 1757 and died in 1844. He had three other brothers, Simon, Ephraim, and Benjamin, that worked with him in Grafton, Massachusetts.
The clock originally belonged to the guest's great-great-great-grandfather and has been passed down through generations.
After that, it was passed down to his son, who passed it down to his son, which was Major George Kearsley, who owned the clock during the Civil War.
The dial of the clock prominently features the maker's name, A. Willard, along with its place of origin, Roxbury, Massachusetts. One of the most notable features of this clock is its case-on-case design, which incorporates high-quality mahogany, brass feet, and a repeated case beneath the main structure. The clock boasts a balloon top and a kidney-shaped dial, representing the earliest form of a Massachusetts shelf clock with a painted dial. Remarkably, the clock still retains its original finish, which significantly enhances its value. The hands on the dial, known as poker beetle hands, remain in excellent condition. In a showroom, this clock, thanks to its outstanding condition and the esteemed reputation of its maker, would command
Would certainly sell between $125,000 to $150,000.
Wow.
It's a little surprising.
Yes.
Unfortunately, a recent auction estimate places this Aaron Willard shelf clock in the $75,000 range. The original boxes of this Buffalo Bill Wild West set captivate the Roadshow in a way you can never have imagined. Inside, the set showcases the Buffalo Bill Wild West Cowboy Show, created around the turn of the century or shortly before. It features scenes of cowboys battling buffaloes and interacting with Native Americans, encapsulating the era's frontier spirit. The guest acquired this remarkable piece at a local auction 21 years ago. He discovered a notice in the auction section of a journal advertising a Buffalo Bill Wild West set and purchased it.
I ended up with this.
Your wife wasn't with you, so you could go wild.
If she'd been with me, I wouldn't have gone.
This set was manufactured in Germany by the esteemed Hader Company. While Britain's is renowned for producing lead soldiers, Hader was the premier German manufacturer, established in the late 19th century. This particular set dates to approximately 1903. What sets this piece apart is its extraordinary size, as it represents the largest set of its kind.
What's doubly extraordinary is no one played with it.
Shortly after purchasing the set, the guest learned from a woman that everything at the auction had come from her grandfather's estate. Her grandfather, newly married and anticipating future sons, had purchased the set while her father served as the European sales manager for the Singer Sewing Machine Company.
That he and his wife had 3 daughters, and the 3 daughters only had daughters, and she had told me that this box had been lugged from house to house to house and had never been played with.
A remarkable detail is the preservation of the original Excelsior packaging, with traces of the straw still visible. The set's condition is extraordinary, an aspect rarely seen in collectibles of this age. The appraiser conducted extensive research, consulting a dealer who had sold a similar set years earlier, though in far inferior condition.
The condition is just unheard of. I did some research.
Given its exceptional state and historical significance, this set could command a value at auction of
In the range of $14,000.
Well, when my father-in-law came in for a visit and looked at it.
Before us is a fantastic rare timepiece patented by Simon Willard in the early 19th century.
This piece, what did you pay for it?
$8.
You sure this wasn't 200 years ago?
The guest purchased the clock many years ago at a house sale, despite not being interested in clocks and feeling somewhat compelled to buy it. She was drawn to the name Simon Willard, which resonated with them due to its association with Massachusetts. Shortly after the purchase, the guest realized it was a lighthouse clock.
But I didn't know this style. I always remembered the mahogany ones.
Originally, the clock featured wreaths, gold gilt, and acorns on each side, though these decorative elements have deteriorated over time.
How long ago was it that you found it?
Over 20 years ago.
What makes this clock particularly noteworthy is Simon Willard's invention of its unique movement and form, which are distinctly American.
There's a relatively long period where these clocks were made, 20 or 25 years. You will see these clocks in a variety of cases, and they vary in quality.
Notably, the clock's current glass dome is not original. The original dome would have been hand-blown, featuring a ring at the base, a tapering shape toward the top, and a large knob handle. Most of the original glass domes have not survived over the years. The clock retains its brass bezel and beautiful enamel dial, though the hands have been broken. Examining the details of the mechanism reveals the uniqueness of Simon Willard's design. The clock includes an alarm function, which originally operated with 2 weights.
When this alarm went off, this bell would be hit repeatedly, and it would be enough to wake everybody in the neighborhood, never mind in the house.
The clock's distinctive suspension system is partially intact, though the guest mentioned that the clock came without a pendulum, rod, or weights. Upon removing the upper portion, the movement can be seen mounted on a wrought iron plate. The construction resembles a barrel, with sections bound by canvas applied to the interior for stability. The painted surface has darkened over time, but retains classical Greek revival motifs, including a Greek key design and wreaths with oak leaves and acorns. At some point, a hole was cut into the clock's bottom, presumably to allow the weight to fall farther, extending the duration between windings.
There's a limit as to how much advantage that made.
I didn't realize that.
And 2 of the feet have been replaced.
Additionally, 2 of the feet have been replaced, with small wafers added to the back feet to improve stability and reduce wobbling. Despite its condition and alterations, this rare timepiece patented by Simon Willard in the early 19th century remains a remarkable and valuable artifact.
It's ever produced by far, but it's absolutely fascinating.
In a retail setting, it would command a significant price of
Probably somewhere between perhaps $75,000 and $100,000.
In the bustling streets of early 20th century Berlin, art and industry collided as designers were challenged to capture public attention like never before. Lucian Bernhard rose to this challenge with innovative works that still feel fresh and modern today. Bernhard was a German graphic designer, type designer, professor, interior designer, and artist during the first half of the 20th century.
His influence on graphic design and on typography is almost undefinable. He personally designed 36 different typefaces.
The guest who presented the displayed artworks acquired them as compensation for services rendered to the artist.
Towards the end of working for him, I had done some personal favors for Lucian Bernhard, and he wanted to pay me monetarily. And I did not want to accept that. In turn, he said, here, take this portfolio of things.
These items are Bernhard's original artworks. Included in this collection is his first poster design, created for Priester matches in 1906. Additionally, the collection features an Excelsior Tires poster, a gouache work bearing Bernhard's signature in the lower left corner. Another notable piece is a study for a poster for Bleichart conveyors, signed in the upper left corner. The collection also includes a watercolor created for Manoli Cigarettes, one of Bernhard's major clients in the early 20th century. Furthermore, there is a poster for the German company Rahn Biscuits, executed with a combination of gouache and collage.
It's also a collage that he cut and pasted certain elements onto the background.
I never noticed that.
The top here of the coffee pitcher has been pasted on.
One of the distinctive characteristics of Bernhard's posters is the prominent placement of the primary subject, often a single object or product at the center of the composition. Posters like these are highly collectible, and an auction estimate for the entire collection on display would be
$20,000 to $30,000.
During the Qing Dynasty, art and nature often intertwined, resulting in remarkable creations like the Scholar's Mountain. This miniature landscape, showcased in the exhibition, reflects not only the scholars' aesthetic taste, but also their philosophical ideals. Created in the 18th century, the piece depicts a scholar seated in a grotto, accompanied by 2 attendants. The scene portrays these figures enjoying a picnic as they make their way toward a pagoda retreat near the mountain's summit. On the reverse side, an ox, symbolizing enlightenment, is depicted resting in a grotto, surrounded by pine trees which signify longevity. The skillful carving achieves a remarkable sense of depth and perspective, incorporating foreground, middle ground, and background elements into the miniature landscape. The design features asymmetrical balance, reflecting the natural irregularity of real mountains and adhering to traditional Chinese aesthetic principles. Such pieces were used as decorative elements in scholars' studios, symbolizing their appreciation for natural beauty and their dedication to the pursuit of wisdom. These scholars' mountains served both aesthetic and philosophical purposes, embodying the principles of Taoist and Confucian thought, while offering a serene and inspiring environment for contemplation and scholarly endeavors. Chinese artifacts like this are highly sought after, and it's not unreasonable to believe that this piece could command
Would bring between $30,000 and $50,000. It's an extraordinary piece. Absolutely a terrific find.
Have you ever wondered how an artist's early career as a cartoonist might influence their later abstract works? The pieces on display, created by Lyonel Feininger, might provide some answers. Feininger, a German-American painter and a leading exponent of Expressionism, also worked as a caricaturist and comic strip artist.
He was associated with many of the most important modernist groups of the 20th century, particularly in Germany. Although he was born in New York and died in New York, in my mind, I always associate him with Germany, and he moved there when he was a teenager.
The guest's grandparents lived in the same apartment building as Feininger, which is how these items came into her family. One of the items in this collection is a letter written by the artist to the guest's grandparents, which is also signed.
It says, "Dear Valentin, dear Barbara," that's my parents, "how many times I see the light shining under the door of your apartment and hesitate to knock and see how you are. What is the use of cordial feeling for someone you know and are very fond of?"
Another notable piece in this collection is an artwork Feininger gifted to the guest's parents as a birth present when she was born. Additionally, the collection includes another letter the artist wrote to the guest's grandmother as a Christmas gift, adorned with one of his woodcuts. The collection also features a quintessential Feininger watercolor painting depicting a seascape signed and dated 1950.
And you can see he's very much under the influence of the Cubists with the way the space is broken up here.
Finally, there is a drawing from the Ghosties series, a captivating exploration of whimsical and spectral imagery. Feininger's works generate significant interest, and at auction, this entire collection, with its remarkable provenance, would fetch.
So all in all, it's going to be 40 to 60,000.
Wow, that's fabulous. Thank you very much.
Unearthed from an attic, this rare first edition of Anne of Green Gables is a timeless treasure with extraordinary historical value.
We found Anne of Green Gables on PBS.
Right.
And once we found that, we fell in love.
L.M. Montgomery wrote this book in 1908. Lucy Maud Montgomery was a Canadian author, best known for her collection of novels, essays, short stories, and poetry. The appraiser noted that, up to that time, there were many books targeted at boys, but this was the first of the girls' books written specifically for young women.
It had a great audience, and it took off, and the series followed. It's just one of these most beloved girl books ever written.
Remarkably, this book is considered one of the most beloved girls' books ever written. Because it was the author's first book, only a limited number of copies were printed, making it extremely rare.
Turns out it was a huge success, and everybody wanted the book, but to get a true first edition was very, very difficult.
A key feature of this edition is the title page, which is dated 1908 and inscribed with first impression April 1908.
Because this marks it as the true first edition.
The appraiser added that the last known copy was sold years ago for
$20,000.
At auction, given its rarity and excellent condition, this book would be valued at
safely $12,000 to $18,000 at auction. Now you're worried.
Oh my gosh, my daughter is not going to believe it.
Yeah, well, you can put your dollar. Tell her.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Hidden within its timeless design, this shelf clock tells a story of love, legacy, and masterful craftsmanship.
He inherited it from his father, probably in the late 70s sometime.
The clock was crafted by Samuel Mullikin, a renowned clockmaker from a distinguished lineage of respected artisans. This particular piece is a Massachusetts shelf clock, a truly remarkable example of fine craftsmanship. One of its key features is the two holes where small brass finials originally would have been placed. Additionally, while the glass has been replaced, this alteration has minimal impact on the clock's overall value. Another notable feature is its mahogany case, which is entirely original and rests on beautifully crafted over-bracket feet. It also boasts a stunning scalloped apron at the front that extends seamlessly to the sides.
By Samuel Mullikin on the dial, which is always nice to have because we know who made it. It's a sheet brass dial, and it's a time and strike movement.
The clock features a sheet brass dial and a time and strike movement, as indicated by its two winding arbors.
One powers the time and one powers the strike. It's a two-weighted mechanism.
For insurance purposes, considering the clock's condition, its value is estimated at
around $75,000.
Seriously?
Seriously.
I'm going to put it right back on its shelf and get it insured for a little bit more.
Step back in time with this 1959 Fender Stratocaster, a legendary guitar that embodies pure rock and roll history and unmatched craftsmanship.
A couple sheets of church music and a few pamphlets from a youth revival that he had played for.
This Fender Stratocaster guitar is one of the most coveted solid body guitars ever made. Eric Clapton himself famously described it as a pure rock and roll machine. Eric Clapton is an English musician, singer, songwriter, and record producer. He is regarded as one of the most successful and influential guitarists in rock music. Even more impressive, this guitar still comes with its original case. The first step in verifying its authenticity is the serial number on the backplate.
A year or so, and the true way to really date the guitar would be to pull the neck out and to read what might be either penciled or stamped here at the end of the fingerboard.
Fender guitars are made of various parts, and one of Leo Fender's ingenious innovations was attaching the neck with just 4 simple bolts and a neck plate.
It makes removing these extremely simple, and at the same time, it made for very easy repair. From the feel of it, I don't think it's ever been pulled apart before.
Interestingly, this guitar has no neck date.
And a little bit of sort of gassing of the lacquer underneath. You can see this cloud it made, and there's the nitrocellulose lacquer sticking on the back plate, which is quite wonderful.
The appraiser explained that between 1959 and 1960, Fender occasionally omitted these dates, making it a known quirk of production during that time.
Well, there happened to be an employee writing profanity at the end of these necks. Leo Fender got word of it.
However, upon examining the pickups, control knobs, and the quality of the varnish, it becomes clear that this guitar is from 1959. Its incredible condition after all these years is nothing short of remarkable. Adding to its value is the amplifier, also from 1959. Inside the amp, the production order number IE confirms the date, with I representing the year 1959 and E indicating May. Given its condition and completeness, the fair market value for this guitar is estimated at
would be easily $25,000.
Wow. Thank you for looking it over and telling us.
This exquisite vintage piece is a testament to the enduring power of tradition and heritage, standing as a tangible connection to generations gone by. According to the guest, this masterpiece has been cherished by her family for generations, with its origins tracing back to her grandparents' home in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Now, you said it was your great-grandparents that owned it when you first knew about it. What period did they live in?
Middle to late 1800s.
In the appraiser's expert opinion, this impressive vintage piece embodies the quintessence of Hampshire furniture, standing as a testament to the region's rich craftsmanship heritage.
Your great-grandfather must have been a collector, or maybe one of his patients' family had moved from New Hampshire out to Wilkes-Barre, and he acquired it from them.
With a discerning gaze, the appraiser attributes this exquisite piece to the revered Dunlap family, whose legacy of craftsmanship is embodied in the work of Major John Dunlap. In the swirling storms of revolution, a master craftsman stood tall. Major John Dunlap, a Philadelphia cabinet maker, brought elegance and refinement to the tumultuous world of 18th century America. With chisel in hand and a keen eye for design, Dunlap created exquisite furniture that captivated the city's elite.
And then 11 of their descendants also became cabinet makers in New Hampshire. They were very, very popular. They were in the Goffstown area, which is near Manchester, New Hampshire.
This piece really checks all the boxes. It's got great provenance, excellent condition, and top-notch craftsmanship, earning it an A+ rating from the appraiser.
Wonderful fan up here, the long lobes alternating with the little short lobes. That's a definite Dunlap feature. It matches the one on the bottom.
As the winds of change swept through the Victorian era, the stately highboys and chests on chests, once proud fixtures of refined homes, gradually faded into the shadows of forgotten fashion. The use of tiger maple in this piece is consistent with the Dunlap's preference for this distinctive wood.
They also used very heavy secondary woods, white pine, but the drawer sides are very, very thick.
American cabinet makers took inspiration from the English, but they also tried to do something unique, like making pieces look taller by going vertical, as seen in this amazing piece.
Dunlap very carefully had the brasses on the bottom match the brasses on the top, rather than having the bottom ones out a little bit.
Like a symphony of shape and hue, this piece harmoniously balances proportion and color, creating a visual masterpiece that resonates with the soul.
A few collectors would pay more money if it had a really old, grungy surface, but this just has that wonderful, warm, honey surface.
One of the standout features of this piece is that it retains its original brass fixtures. Considering its exceptional features and outstanding condition, this piece is estimated to realize a significant auction value of
between $50,000 and $80,000.
Really? Oh, how wonderful.
You have probably the finest piece of New Hampshire furniture that's ever come to the Roadshow.
On display are two captivating puppets, weaving a spell of nostalgia that transports us to a world of memories and forgotten dreams. These puppets hold a special place in our guest's heart, as they were lovingly acquired by his aunt from the production team of the beloved holiday classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
And Santa, we had Yukon Cornelius, Herbie the Misfit Dentist, and a few others, including a sort of reindeer, that got melted in our attic, thanks to my mom.
The guest fondly remembers these puppets being a part of their holiday traditions, prominently displayed around the Christmas tree during their childhood. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was created by Robert L. May in 1939. With the holiday season approaching, May, a talented copywriter, was tasked by Montgomery Ward to dream up a festive promotion for their customers. Robert May's poem Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was a groundbreaking success, spawning numerous adaptations that have become integral to holiday traditions. With a flourish of expertise, the appraiser declares these puppets the authentic, one-of-a-kind originals.
The neck here, this is, of course, the young Rudolph, and here's Santa. When you opened the box and took these fellas out, it was like I was seeing old friends.
As the appraiser's words paint a vivid picture, we are transported back to 1964, when this timeless film first captured the hearts of audiences, with these puppets embodying the essence of holiday magic.
It definitely has a warm spot in all of our hearts. So to actually meet them in person, it's really exciting.
This piece holds a revered status, transcending its role as a mere object to become a cultural symbol of significance. Time has left its mark on this iconic piece, with the burls slowly surrendering to the ravages of age. A testament to the ingenuity of their creators, these puppets are crafted from a diverse array of materials, including rich fabrics, warm woods, and carefully selected plastics. While not in pristine condition, these puppets possess considerable historical and cultural significance, translating to a projected auction value of
Then $8,000 to $10,000 for the pair. What it would go for at auction, that's anyone's guess.
This stunning ornament sculpture before us is a masterpiece of refined taste, boasting an elegant demeanor that commands attention. According to the guest, this item was part of her father's esteemed collection, passed down to her after his passing as a meaningful inheritance.
And he had a collection of bronzes, and he has 3 daughters. And he kind of divvied up the bronzes, and this is the one that I happened to get.
The appraiser deems this piece exceptionally significant, owing to its attribution to the renowned artist Harriet Frishmuth. Harriet Whitney Frishmuth was a pioneering American sculptor who defied convention with her captivating and emotive works of art. Born in Philadelphia, Frishmuth's artistic talents were nurtured from a young age, and she went on to study at the Philadelphia Academy of Fine Arts and the Art Students League of New York.
Who was very famous in her day. She worked in the early part of the 20th century. She studied in Paris with Auguste Rodin, and she also studied in New York with Gutzon Borglum. He was a sculptor of Mount Rushmore.
Frishmuth's sculptures, often featuring animals and female figures, showcased her unique blend of realism and expressiveness. Her work was met with critical acclaim, earning her numerous awards and exhibitions at prestigious institutions, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Through her long and distinguished career, Frishmuth remained committed to her artistic vision, continuing to create and innovate well into her 90s. Today, her sculptures are highly prized by collectors and admired by art lovers around the world, serving as a testament to her enduring legacy as one of America's most beloved and respected sculptors. Notably, this piece bears Harriet Frishmuth's signature and the date 1923, a period identified by the appraiser as the pinnacle of her artistic career. This piece served as a decorative hood ornament for a vintage automobile.
And this is a catalog from 1928. And here we have a picture of a hood ornament that Harriet Frishmuth also did.
As an exceptionally rare hood ornament, its well-preserved patina significantly enhances its value, estimated to reach
between $20,000 and $30,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
What does it take to transform a blank sheet of paper into a masterpiece? For Albrecht Dürer and Rembrandt, it required not only technical brilliance, but also a visionary perspective that transcended their time. Dürer was a German painter, printmaker, and theorist of the German Renaissance. Conversely, Rembrandt was a Dutch Golden Age painter, printmaker, and draftsman. The items on display are a combination of works by these two masters, a testament to how they elevated printmaking to fine art. The guest who brought these pieces onto the show inherited them from his father, who was in the old and rare buck business. One of the prints, the one closest to the appraiser, was created by Dürer and is one of his 3 master prints from 1514. Depicted in this print is an image of St. Jerome in his study. Upon closer inspection, we can discern Dürer's monogram alongside the date 1514.
This particular subject is known in impressions A through F. What you have here is a Mater A impression, so it's the best impression that you could find.
At the center of this collection is a beautiful portrait etching by Rembrandt dating from 1647. Although not an early impression, very few impressions were printed posthumously. The print closest to the guest, also by Rembrandt, is a portrait of Jan Lutmer, a goldsmith and friend of Rembrandt. While this print isn't an early impression, it's considered a good print from the late 18th century.
And was most likely published by Bazin in Paris, who put together a whole collection of Rembrandt's plates and issued them in a volume.
Overall, the appraiser estimates that this collection by the 2 master printmakers would be worth.
Altogether, you have about $95,000 worth of prints at auction.
Thank you very much. I'm astonished. Well, I'm amazed.
Few objects capture the spirit of American identity, quite like John Bellamy's eagle carvings. Bellamy was a folk artist from New England, USA, renowned for his highly stylized carved wooden eagles and other decorative items designed for ships and homes.
He was the town carver of Kittery, Maine, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
This showcased carved eagle embodies strength, freedom, and Bellamy's unparalleled artistry. The item has been in the guest's husband family for many years, beginning with the grandfather, who acquired it in the early 1900s.
1900s?
So he might have been the one who possibly even purchased this from John Bellamy. It was carved by John Bellamy.
This carved eagle features a square beak and red eyes, which are characteristic of Bellamy's works. A banner beneath the eagle bears the inscription "Remember the Maine," referencing the sinking of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor in 1898. The banner's flowing form integrates seamlessly with the eagle's dynamic composition, resembling the undulating fabric of a flag. On the back of the carving there is an original support on the wing crafted from pine. Additionally, an early appraisal from 1960 indicates that this item was valued at $250 at that time. Carved eagles like this were often mounted on ships, civic buildings, or homes, symbolizing protection and national pride. Collectors greatly admire Bellamy's eagle carvings, especially those with patriotic inscriptions, and this particular piece would easily be worth.
That would be valued in the $35,000 to $45,000 range.
Oh, wow.
At first glance, this Korean court screen captivates viewers with its intricate brushstrokes and vivid pigments. Upon closer inspection, one can observe a meticulous interplay of motifs, dragons, peonies, each element layered with profound meaning that reflects the 18th century Korean court. The guest acquired this piece from her husband, whose family had owned it for several years. Chinese painting is traditionally executed in a narrative style, and this court screen exemplifies that approach by depicting the same figure in various poses. The figure repeatedly featured on this screen is Shi Wangmu. A closer look at these figures reveals the artist's attention to detail, from the gold decorations on the robes to the exquisite brushwork. The entire screen is composed of multiple folding panels, allowing for both flexibility and portability. This piece dates back to the 1700s, a time when such screens were often used as dividers in royal or ceremonial spaces, providing privacy or marking boundaries. They also played a role in Confucian rituals, weddings, and state functions, symbolizing authority and decorum. There is some damage near the base of the screen, which occurred due to how it was stored by the guest over the years.
It didn't fit in our home anymore, and so we stored it, and quite regretfully, it got damaged, and I want to know if it's...
Despite its condition, this court screen remains highly valuable and is estimated to be worth.
The value of this has to be in the $30,000 to $50,000 range.
My goodness. And I was wondering whether I should...
What were you wondering you're going to do?
I didn't know whether it should be saved or not. Oh my goodness.
We are presented with remarkable works that offer a rare glimpse into the traditions of the Plains Indians in the late 19th century. The guest's great aunt distributed commodities by having the Native Americans create drawings on ledger sheets before receiving supplies. The first piece, dated 1895 and titled Dawn at Little Edge, South Dakota, features an exceptional depiction of a Sundance ceremony. This ledger drawing vividly illustrates the brush arbor, the central Sundance pole, and warriors adorned in full society regalia, including lances and bandoliers. The attention to detail is extraordinary, with one warrior shown pierced at the breast, actively performing the Sundance, and others preparing to participate. The second drawing captures a harrowing yet heroic scene, where a warrior demonstrates extraordinary bravery by charging a cavalry line armed only with a coup stick.
The headdresses are beautiful. I think your ledger book drawings are a little bit earlier. They have a feel pictorially for, I'd say, 1870s to 1880s.
The intricate details, including the depiction of the warrior's wounds and the horse struck multiple times, underscore the depth of this narrative.
Because he probably drew this drawing. But he got shot twice, and his horse got shot about 8 times.
The third drawing is equally compelling, featuring a figure, possibly a cavalryman or Plains Indian scout, who has shot his horse and counted coup using a quilt. The flag he carries adds to the piece's rarity and cultural richness. He has a very unusual name glyph, 2 horse tracks with bullets flying. The Sundance's artistic and cultural significance, combined with its condition and provenance, place its value in the range of
Auction for about $8,000 to $12,000.
Both ledger pieces at auction would probably bring about.
And I think both your ledger pieces would probably bring about $4,000 to $6,000 each.
At auction, the combination of artistry, historical context, and rarity positions these 3 pieces to achieve a significant total value of
$24,000 in these 3 drawings.
That's amazing. Boy.
Presented is a classic Philadelphia dressing table, or lowboy, likely crafted in the 1750s, making it a remarkably early piece. The Guest family has treasured this piece of furniture for 4 generations, having grown up with it. Originally located in a family homestead in Fairland County, Connecticut, the piece was later passed down to the Guest by his aunt in the 1990s. It is crafted from black walnut. The piece has a wonderfully mellow, aged surface. It is not an original finish, but it has an excellent color, and the walnut features a beautiful figure. The top and drawer front showcase a striking curly grain pattern, which is solid wood rather than veneer. The appraiser thoroughly examined the piece from top to bottom and found it to be in exceptionally pristine condition, with its original pegs still intact, securing the top. Upon examining the front, it is evident that the large, beautiful brass accents are original and were considered costly in their time.
Like that is a real expensive detail.
The skirt stands out as particularly noteworthy and captivating.
That seems to be using that exact skirt pattern a lot. And it has relatives in Irish cabinet making, and we think maybe there was an Irish influence going on in this particular cabinet.
The appraiser carefully examined the piece in the search of his signature, but unfortunately none was found. Looking at the knee carving, it features fairly shallow shell carving. Another early detail is the stocking feet, or the triffid feet as they are sometimes called, seen in Philadelphia by the 1730s. In the 1740s, ball and claw feet began to appear, but there was a significant overlap. From a collector's perspective, the most remarkable feature of this piece, aside from its excellent condition and original brasses, is the substantial overhang of the top. Even at the back, the design allows it to sit flush against a wall above a chair rail, ensuring stability. The proportions of the top are slightly less aesthetically pleasing. At a major antique show, this piece would be retailed at a significant price of
Probably at $70,000 or $80,000.
Yeah,
it's quite a gift.
We are presented with documents, including an invitation to Abraham Lincoln's funeral and a pamphlet of his Cooper Union address, both rich in history and value. The Guest's husband's great-grandfather was the governor of Ohio from 1846 to 1848. His son, who was only 21 years old at the time, served as his secretary and collected a number of autographs. Specifically, the collection began with the signing of the Treaty of Ghent in 1814, which became quite extensive. The Guest suggested that she did not believe the family ever discarded anything. The first document is black-bordered and is an invitation to Abraham Lincoln's funeral services in Springfield in April 1865. These are quite rare. The appraiser mentioned that he had only seen 1 or 2 in his career. Additionally, the original envelope in which the invitation was mailed has been preserved. This is notable as it helps to document the piece.
And clearly, Lincoln and your ancestor had a connection that went way back.
The appraiser was thrilled to examine a fragile little pamphlet containing the text of Lincoln's Cooper Union address, titled The Address of Honorable Abraham Lincoln. The address was delivered in New York in February 1860, right before the presidential campaign gained momentum. This speech was instrumental in propelling Lincoln into national prominence, making him a serious contender for the presidency. At the top of the pamphlet is a small ink inscription, with respects of A. Lincoln. The invitation to the funeral would be valued for insurance purposes at
Insurance purposes at $2,000.
The current value of an invitation to Abraham Lincoln's funeral is approximately $3,000 based on recent auction results. The second piece would be appraised at a significant price.
I'd put a value of $60,000.
Wow.
Pen and ink drawings offer a unique combination of expressiveness, precision, and versatility, making them a beloved medium for artists and art enthusiasts alike. Here we have a lovely pen and ink drawing that our guest inherited many years ago from a relative. This exquisite piece, showcasing a combination of expressiveness and precision, was created by one of Latin America's finest artists, Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera was a Mexican painter, muralist, and a leading figure in the Mexican art movement. His artwork often conveyed social and political messages, advocating for the rights of the working class and indigenous peoples.
But as a young painter myself, Rivera was a great hero of mine.
He began his artistic training at the San Carlos Academy of Fine Arts in Mexico City. Rivera was also well known for his large-scale murals, which often depicted scenes from Mexican history and everyday life. The ownership and provenance of this pen and ink drawing are verified by the artist's signature on the piece, making it a work of significant value. Notably, the title of this work by Diego Rivera is To Indigenous Women, suggesting that the artist aimed to represent or honor the cultural heritage of indigenous peoples. From the title, the drawing may have been created to celebrate the beauty, strength, or resilience of indigenous women and their culture. Alternatively, it may address issues affecting indigenous communities, such as marginalization, consistent with the themes Rivera is known for. Interestingly, this drawing comes from a gallery in New York, suggesting that the gallery recognized its importance within the broader art historical context. A drawing from a reputable gallery is more likely to retain its value or appreciate over time, making this piece a potentially valuable investment. Given the strength of the market at the time, the appraiser initially evaluated this drawing by Rivera to be worth
Somewhere in the 12,000 to 18,000
Oh my God,
yeah.
really?
Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Ceramic wares can evoke memories of family, heritage, or special events, creating a sense of nostalgia and warmth while providing a healthy distraction from stress. Here we have a collection of ceramic wares that sow the seed of harmony in this guest's family.
The Wedgwood was given to us by my husband's grandmother. Before she passed away, she told her two grandsons that they could have a collection of hers.
Wedgwood is a renowned English pottery company that was established in the 18th century.
Wedgwood, is a famous name in the history of English ceramics, and there's 250 years of Wedgwood production.
These particular wares are known as Fairyland lusterwares, a unique and captivating series of ceramic pieces, distinguished by their shimmering iridescent glaze.
Fairyland lusterware is among the most valuable of all Wedgwood from any period.
Fairyland lusterwares were designed by Maisie Making Jones and produced for a relatively short period, making them highly sought after by collectors. Daisy Making Jones was a British artist and designer, best known for her work as a ceramic designer at Wedgwood. She worked alongside other notable designers at the company.
She was very enterprising. She approached Wedgwood herself and said, "I want to work for you," in 1909.
She received artistic training at the Sheffield School of Art and later at the Royal College of Art in London.
And she was ultimately allowed to introduce her own line, which very few people did. And in 1915, she launched this line, Fairyland Luster.
The Fairyland luster wares were highly successful for Wedgwood, especially after the First World War, as many saw them as a means of escaping the horrors of the war. Interestingly, these wares are adorned with images of goblins and fairies, set in fantastic landscapes. They often feature poplar trees in the background, a common motif in many Fairyland luster pieces.
Varies a little over the period of manufacture, from 1915 until 1931, when they made the last piece, when Daisy was fired.
The appraiser admits that the surviving pieces are somewhat fragile, but they are highly valuable today. At auction, the appraiser estimated the value of this collection of Wedgwood Fairyland luster wares to be
would be about $25,000. And the high estimate would probably be $35,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
In today's world, sculptures are known to inspire, provoke, and delight people, offering a unique expression of human creativity and imagination. Displayed at the moment is a unique sculpture that our guest inherited from her mother, who received it as a guest from her husband on the 25th anniversary of their marriage.
I believe it was 1959.
Yeah. And you have that correspondence, which I looked at, and he paid $1,150 for it.
That's correct.
And plus $20 to ship it to Houston.
This amazing sculpture is titled Turtle Baby and was created by the artist Edith Parsons. Edith Parsons was an American sculptor active during the early 20th century. Her works reflect her interests and style, employing traditional sculptural techniques.
She was born in the 1870s. She studied in New York at the Art Students League, and one of her teachers was Daniel Chester French, who was a famous sculptor of the Lincoln Monument in Washington.
Parsons' work focused on figurative and portrait sculpture, often depicting animals, women, and children, just like the artwork we are considering today. Interestingly, she created other similar sculptures, such as the Duck Baby and Frog Baby, which many found equally fascinating. In Turtle Baby, a child is depicted gleefully holding turtles by one foot in each hand, with her joy conveyed through the raised position of her toes. The turtles also feature at the base of the sculpture, supporting it while water spouts from the piece, a unique feature that adds to its charm. From the condition of the sculpture, it's evident that it's been kept outdoors for many years, a fact confirmed by our guest, who mentioned it was displayed in an enclosed brick patio with a fountain.
When they passed away, I took it.
And now you keep it indoors.
I've been keeping it indoors.
According to the appraiser, while being kept outdoors has slightly affected the sculpture's condition, it hasn't significantly diminished its value, as the piece remains a remarkable example of artistry. He further describes this sculpture as one of the finest examples of American 20th century garden sculpture, adding accolades to its significance. In the auction market, this Turtle Baby sculpture would command a remarkable price of
between $35,000 and $40,000 for it.
You're kidding.
No, not at all.
I knew I loved her.
Presented here is a captivating piece of art inherited by the guest from her mother.
Somewhere in Atlanta.
Perhaps at a
gallery somewhere in Georgia.
This painting bears the signature James E. Buttersworth, a name synonymous with exquisite maritime art. James was born in England and came from a family of talented painters. The painting portrays a thrilling yacht race with one striking detail, a prominent American flag, which serves as an important clue to the scene's setting.
These two boats are racing, and this is what you call a spectator or observer boat. We don't know the names of the ships, but there might be a way to research this with, say, the New York Yacht Club.
Another key feature to note is the small identifying flags on the boats.
What you might be able to determine from further research is whether this is an America's Cup race.
Oh, okay.
Buttersworth, known for his passion for sailing, often tucks small boats out on the water to observe ships close up, capturing every detail with remarkable precision. This painting is a testament to the artist's meticulous nature and his unparalleled eye for detail. A few other paintings of similar size and subject matter depicting yacht races have been sold at auction for impressive amounts of.
She made about $90,000.
Jeez.
Given the artist's provenance and the excellent condition of this piece, it would likely be valued at auction.
Estimate of $80,000 to $120,000.
So you have to have a better place to hang than near the bathroom. Because that's where it was hanging, near the bathroom.
Imagine holding a piece of history in your hands, a 1927 baseball signed by the legendary Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig.
Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig stood on second base and hit a couple boxes of balls right in the bleachers, and my grandfather caught one.
George Herman Babe Ruth was an American professional baseball player whose career in Major League Baseball spanned 22 seasons, from 1914 through 1935. Gehrig was renowned for his prowess as a hitter and for his durability, which earned him the nickname the Iron House. This iconic collectible embodies the spirit of an unforgettable season and the raw power of two of baseball's greatest icons. This 1927 signed baseball is a rare gem from the golden era of the sport.
It's not in the greatest shape in the world, but look at these signatures. They're bold and dark, and that's the way they should be.
That season, often regarded as one of the greatest in baseball history, saw Ruth and Gehrig, two living legends, dominate the field. The ball, signed by both superstars, captures a moment when they were at the peak of their careers, making it an extraordinary find. The signatures are beautifully preserved, adding immense value to this timeless piece. With such a storied provenance, it's no surprise this baseball is considered one of the most coveted items in the world of sports memorabilia. Given its rarity and historical significance, this signed baseball is estimated to be valued at auction at...
Wouldn't insure it for less than $20,000.
Whoa, my... Wow.
Unveiling a captivating chapter in history, this collection offers a window into the China trade with the West.
Shipped on the Portsmouth, which was the second ship into Japan in 1856.
Okay.
He served 38 years in the Navy.
One of the first European groups to venture as traders was the Dutch. In one of the paintings, you can spot small black dots and walls atop the hilltops. Fortifications known as the Dutch Folly Forts, which were eventually abandoned.
Pearl River outside Canton, and certainly in the 17th century it started to expand, and the Dutch put fortifications in there to maintain their monopoly over the China trade. Well, it didn't work.
On one of the ships, an American flag waves, highlighting the important role Americans played in the China trade.
So ships, as they went up the Pearl River, would come through here, and then they would go to this area, which is called Whampoa Reach.
Also depicted is Macau, a Portuguese city, as the Portuguese were among the earliest traders in Asia, though they eventually lost their monopoly. The paintings showcase European architectural styles, reflecting the influence of Western traders on the landscape. In the Hong Kong painting, a tiny American flag is visible in the background, further tying the artwork to the period. These paintings are likely from the mid-1840s to mid-1850s.
Along with other pictures that were more typical, like this. I picked these 4 out of the 40-something you had.
The appraiser noted that while the guest brought several pieces, he selected these 4 for their superior quality. Although the condition is slightly worn, the historical value and craftsmanship remain remarkable. Alongside the paintings, the guest also brought a scrimshaw piece inherited from his family, adding to the collection's allure.
His stepfather was a ship chandler up in Massachusetts, in New Bedford. He supplied a good portion of the whaling ships that went out of that area.
At auction, the entire collection is expected to fetch a substantial price, with the current estimated value of the group at
between $12,000 and $18,000.
It's amazing.
In today's world, a frame plays a crucial role in enhancing the overall presentation and significance of a plaque, as well as its importance to the owner. This plaque was purchased for $700 by our guest from a gentleman who was initially reluctant to sell.
We went to a gentleman's house to buy some old toys, and he carried me out in a shed he's got, and this was hanging on a nail in the shed.
The gentleman is said to have acquired this piece at the end of the Second World War, though the exact location of purchase remains unknown. At first glance, the frame of this plaque might give the impression of being damaged due to its cracked appearance. However, these cracks are not damage, but are intentional designs, as the frame is made in the style of what is called a ruined column frame.
And originally it would have had all those splits built into it to make it look like ruined columns that have been overgrown.
From this unique design, the date of production is speculated to be around 1885, when this style was particularly popular. This frame houses a porcelain plaque made in Berlin, Germany, a city with a rich history of porcelain painting spanning hundreds of years.
But at this period, they really got it right. They really knew how to paint figures, and especially beautiful, alluring young women.
At the back of the plaque, there is an inscription that reads KPM, indicating that it was made by the Royal Porcelain Works of Germany. KPM stands for Königliche Porzellanmanufaktur, which translates to Royal Porcelain Manufactory. Founded in 1763, KPM specialized in creating plaques depicting famous individuals. Their plaques are highly valuable, with their worth depending on factors such as the subject matter, scale, and condition. According to the appraiser, the only downside to this piece is that the frame has been painted with gold radiator paint, altering its original condition. Considering the current state of the frame, the appraiser estimates the value of this plaque to be...
We think it could bring as much as 12 or 14,000.
I was thinking a lot less.
The fate of an unexecuted marriage license is typically to be discarded, as it is often considered an item of no value. But that was not the fate of this unexecuted marriage license, which was saved by the uncle of our guest during the cleanup of the courthouse in Dandridge, Tennessee. This document represents a marriage that never happened, between 19-year-old David Crockett and Margaret Elder, a resident of Jefferson County, Tennessee, in October 1805.
We have a little runaway bride situation.
Yes. So they felt that it had no value whatsoever.
David Crockett was a famous American frontiersman, politician, and soldier, popularly referred to as the Wild Frontier.
He was a backwoods statesman, later to become the hero at the Alamo.
He had done all of those things.
Hadn't done those things
at that point.
No, you're absolutely right.
Crockett himself wrote in his autobiography that he was jilted at the altar, although he didn't specifically mention Margaret Elder. Undeterred by the cancelled wedding, he soon began courting someone else. The license bears the name Margaret as the intended bride and Crockett's signature, making it a valuable historical artifact. It serves as a rare and significant document, providing a unique insight into David Crockett's personal life. The reasons behind the cancelled wedding remain unclear. Some speculate that Margaret developed cold feet, while our guest believes she eloped with someone else. The appraiser notes that it is remarkable for such an ephemeral document to survive so many years and describes it as a true treasure. Crockett later married a young woman named Polly Finley, also from Jefferson County, in 1806. Together they had 2 children. In today's auction market, this unexecuted marriage license is estimated to command an impressive price of $44,000.
We feel that it's worth $20,000 to $30,000.
Goodness, really?
Yes.
A pocket watch from a reputable company showcases exceptional craftsmanship, evoking admiration and appreciation while serving as a status symbol. This luxury pocket watch was handed down from the great-grandfather of our guest, who owned the St. Paul Pioneer Press and Dispatch back in 1914.
And it was handed down from him to my father, and then he gave it to me.
It is remarkable to learn that this pocket watch was manufactured by the prestigious Patek Philippe Company of Geneva. Patek Philippe is a renowned Swiss luxury watch manufacturer, founded in 1839. Known for producing highly complicated watches featuring intricate mechanisms and multiple functions, the company is synonymous with exceptional precision, quality, and craftsmanship. Their timepieces, including pocket watches like this one, are highly sought after by collectors and connoisseurs worldwide. In its early years, Patek Philippe focused on the production of high-quality pocket watches with advanced complications, including minute repeaters and perpetual calendars. To illustrate some of the complications in this particular piece, a photocopy of the original warranty highlights its features. One key feature is the front of the watch, which displays the hour and minute hands as well as a second hand, giving it a captivating appearance. Additionally, it features a split chronograph, also known as a rattrapante or split-second chronograph, making it a highly complex and intricate timepiece.
It also has a minute register for the chronograph. Off to the side is a slide for chiming the watch. It's called a minute repeater.
This pocket watch also includes a minute repeater, a device that chimes the time to the minute when the slide is activated. When flipped over, the back reveals the day, date, month, and moon phases, demonstrating the exceptional craftsmanship of this pocket watch.
It's also a perpetual calendar which adjusts for leap year. It's a very complicated watch.
The pocket watch also features 2 extra mainsprings and an additional crystal, further enhancing its excellence as a timepiece.
It has the original crystals and original 18-karat gold engine turn case.
The appraiser describes this Patek Philippe pocket watch as the finest watch he has ever seen in his career. At auction, this extraordinary Patek Philippe pocket watch is estimated to command an incredible price of...
It would bring close to $250,000.
No.
Yes.
$250,000?
This is one incredible watch.
Before us is the mask that was used in the first episode of The Lone Ranger. Many people associate the Lone Ranger with the Black Mask. The actual first masks were made from plaster of Paris, applied to his face and then covered with purple felt. This created a striking contrast with the costume worn on the program. It was, of course, filmed in black and white, which is why it was done this way. Additionally, there is a picture of the guest as a little boy with Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger. The guest's father was active in the film industry and met many famous people. He had a next-door neighbor who introduced him to Clayton Moore, and the two became very close friends. As a child, the guest would often visit Clayton's house, where they would have barbecues and go swimming.
Swimming, as a matter of fact, Clayton taught me how to swim.
The mask is signed Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger, and dated 1951.
He'd come over to dinner one night, and he brought this mask with him, and my dad asked him if he wouldn't autograph it, and he did just that.
On the other side, it is inscribed, "To my pal," and for the guest's mother, and Layla too. This is the actual mask that the Lone Ranger wore in the first television series, in the episode Pete and Pedro. Clayton did not like the mask because it covered too much of his face. It's one of those pieces that is simply breathtaking when seen in person. The fact that it is signed by Clayton Moore and is connected to the guest's father and family is remarkable. At auction, this unique piece is valued at a significant amount of
$25,000.
Oh my gosh.
At an auction, who knows what could happen? The sky's the limit.
What we have here is an 1876 dated miniature jug, a replica of the large jug which originally belonged to the guest's grandmother. She had many antiques, most of which were made of glass. This piece was always on the floor and was a part of every party and Christmas celebration.
Earlier, when I lifted it up here, you said you almost had a heart attack when you saw me grab it by the handles.
You were lifting it by the handles, which is just an absolute no-no for a small piece.
When she sold the house, the grandchildren chose different items, but the guest ended up with this piece, which he had always wanted. The guest's name is written on the piece, and he acquired it 5 years ago. The wonderful thing about the piece is that no maker can be found in Ohio, but it is marked Ohio Stoneware along with the maker's name. More research needs to be done on the piece regarding the maker. The fact that it was marked 1876 Centennial suggests that it might have been used in the Centennial celebration in Philadelphia in 1876. It is a slip cup adorned with cobalt decoration. The cobalt was drizzled onto the stoneware before it was fired. The elegant bird featured on the piece is a peacock. The writing and the decoration take up the entire surface, which is what an American folk art enthusiast looks for in a great piece of stoneware.
And you told me how this handle got broke.
Yeah, my grandmother always said that she bumped it while she was vacuuming.
Well, I would just leave it the way it is. It doesn't need any repair.
If this piece were to be auctioned, it would likely fetch a significant value of
I have this priced at somewhere between $65,000 and $85,000.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Presented here is a drawing of a home designed and built by Frank Lloyd Wright for the guest's grandparents. Through extensive correspondence, the guest's great-grandmother wrote back and forth with him. She wanted him to remodel the house they were already living in, and that's what this particular design is. In her letter, she essentially tells him that he doesn't understand her needs yet.
And so for her to tell Frank Lloyd Wright he's just not getting it was kind of a family joke. But eventually they came to the idea that it was going to be too costly and wasn't ever going to be what she wanted.
The initial design he created was rejected due to insufficient bedroom space and the absence of closets. Then he came up with this typical prairie-style design, which is a beautiful home and is still standing today. It has been completely restored by the current residents. Here is an image of the house taken shortly after its construction. One of the interesting aspects is the role of the great-grandmother, who actually served as the general contractor. She found all of the workers and contracted everything that needed to be done, right down to the cost of bricks and windows. The guest possesses the complete building list that the great-grandmother, as contractor, had to have. Additionally, there is another picture of the money man, who financed the project and set aside about $5,000 to build this particular house. The cost ended up rising to around $10,000, which infuriated the money man. Frank Lloyd Wright's original drawings are amazing, and the letters are fabulous. Even just a price list or building list would be worth a few $1,000s. Museums would be very eager to acquire these. In 1995, a drawing by Frank Lloyd Wright for a house sold for
$20,000.
The letters, the back and forth correspondence about building the house, about 20 to 30 letters, would fetch a significant value of
That's $25,000, $35,000.
The guest possesses the two best items, along with a pile of others beneath them. At auction, they would fetch a substantial value of
Probably have about $75,000 for what's here.
No.
In addition, all the other drawings and related materials will also fetch a significant amount of
You might have $100,000, $125,000 or more. Well,
oh, it's just fantastic.
Few artifacts connect us as intimately to Edgar Allan Poe as this daguerreotype. Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic, best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the macabre. The item presented on the show is a daguerreotype of Poe, created circa 1847. The guest acquired this rare artifact at an antique shop in Walnut, Iowa.
And just happened to like the image. Took it home and thought it looked like something I had in one of my books, which I do daguerreotype research, and it looked very much like Edgar Allan Poe.
Daguerreotypes, one of the earliest forms of photography, are known for their polished, mirror-like surfaces and fine detail, achieved using a silver-coated copper plate. This particular piece is one of only 6 known Daguerrean portraits of Poe, making it exceptionally rare. Poe's solemn expression, deep-set eyes, and sharp features contribute to the haunting and introspective quality of the image. The image is sealed under glass to protect it from tarnishing, highlighting the delicate nature of this photographic process. While there is minor damage visible on the face of the subject, which could potentially affect its value, such imperfections do not significantly diminish the historical significance of the piece. Despite this minor flaw, a daguerreotype of this rarity and importance could command a considerable price of
probably somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000.
Wow. Well, I'm thrilled. I like the picture anyway, but now I really like it.
What we have on the display table is a pair of Antonio Jacobsen paintings. Jacobsen's paintings from the 1880s do more than just depict ships. They tell stories about a transformative period in maritime history. Antonio Jacobsen, a Danish-born American maritime artist, was known as the Audubon of steam vessels.
And he has this business painting basically portraits of boats. That's almost all he does. He's painting different people's ships and harbors in and around New York.
These paintings were inherited by our guest from her grandfather after his passing. The subjects of the two artworks are scenes from the American Cup races, featuring the Puritan and the Genesta. The paintings also include precise representations of the racing yachts, showcasing their rigging, sails, and hull designs, which are characteristic of the period. A closer look reveals the artist's meticulous attention to detail, particularly in his depiction of men hiking out on the sides of the boats to counterbalance their weight. The artwork captures the excitement of the race, with yachts cutting through the water at dramatic angles, their sails taut with wind. Adding to their value, both paintings are signed and dated by the artist at the bottom. In an auction setting, this pair of maritime paintings by Jacobsen is estimated to be worth
somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guest showcased a pendant that she inherited from her grandmother upon her passing.
Was given to her by her second husband. When were they married?
They were married in 1918.
The jewelry features an old European cut, pear-shaped diamond surrounded by small pearls. Furthermore, the piece was crafted around the 1920s by Tiffany & Co., and considering that the diamond weighs over 1 carat, it is an exceptionally rare piece. Tiffany & Co. is an American luxury jewelry and specialty design house headquartered on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Upon closer inspection of the pendant, we can observe intricate wirework, leading the appraiser to believe it may have been created by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. Louis Comfort Tiffany, an American artist and designer, is renowned for his contributions to decorative arts, particularly his work in stained glass. Yellow diamonds are among the rarest of colored diamonds, and Tiffany's meticulous sourcing ensures only the finest quality stones are selected. The pendant's simple yet sophisticated design ensures that the diamond remains the focal point. Even after nearly a century, this pendant retains its original allure. Jewelry pieces by Tiffany & Co. are highly sought after, and the exceptional quality of the diamond in this pendant enhances its desirability. It is estimated to be worth
$20,000 and up. What do you think?
Holy mackerel!
Yeah. So you really hit the spot today. You knew what to pick.
I almost didn't bring it.
And your grandmother was not telling a lie.
Featured here is an exceptional 18th century American cream jug, a stunning example of early American silver craftsmanship and design. The guest acquired it as an inheritance from her great-aunt, which is a remarkable and meaningful provenance.
And was she from Boston?
No, I believe they were from Pennsylvania somewhere.
Pennsylvania.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think you'd have to go back a little farther in your family tree to find the original owner of this. It's made in Boston.
This beautiful piece was made in Boston. The appraiser knew right away because of the mark on the piece, the mark of Jacob Hurd. Jacob Hurd was one of the finest silversmiths in Boston during the second quarter of the 18th century.
99 out of 100 of these American cream jugs are very plain. There's no decoration on them at all.
Amazing scenes are depicted on the piece, including ducks and houses that decorate the entire surface of the jug. In America, there are about 15 pieces with punched and engraved scenic decorations. This piece is wonderful and exceptionally rare. There was a specialist decorator working in Boston who would have created the borders and filled in the scenes based on engraved prints. However, with craft specialization in London at the time, there were very few decorators of silver who could produce such work. To a collector, this rare decoration, as good as any English one, is completely exciting. If this piece were English, with this typical scenic decoration, it would be valued at
The value would be $500 only.
Even though it dates to around 1745. However, because it is so rare and American, it would be valued at a significantly higher amount of
The value is going to be $30,000 to $50,000.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's very rare.
What we have here is a print that has been passed down through the guest's family since his birth.
Mom, was she a collector?
No, she liked...
Just an art enthusiast?
That's right.
The print in question is a monotype, created by the renowned Maurice Prendergast with his initials MBP. The middle initial B stands for Brazil, Maurice Prendergast, Brazil. A monotype is a unique print, made by the artist applying colours to a copper plate and then printing it through an intaglio press. Usually only one print is made, hence the term monotype, with mono meaning one. Prendergast was a Boston artist who studied in Boston during the 1860s, 1870s, and 1880s. In the early 1890s, he studied in Paris, where he apparently learned the art of printmaking. He returned to Boston in the mid-1890s and began creating watercolors and monotypes of Boston scenes. What we have here is a scene from Boston, likely a storefront at night, dated 1895. It is printed on very thin paper, which was glued down to the mat, which is somewhat detrimental in terms of condition. The condition slightly diminishes its value, but it is something that can be conserved. Otherwise, it is in very good condition, with the color near pristine and having held up very well. Conservatively, at auction, it would be valued at a significant amount of.
I would estimate it at $60,000 to $90,000.
Presented here is an impressive map of Lewis and Clark's journey across the western portion of North America, spanning from the Mississippi to the Pacific Ocean. The guest is from the Portland area, but acquired this piece in Philadelphia. The guest's family lived in Philadelphia and were collectors, which is how the guest inherited this piece.
I am concerned about the signature that's on there. The ballpoint pen, I mean, you tell me.
This map depicts the route of the Lewis and Clark expedition, which was commissioned by Thomas Jefferson. The expedition took place from 1804 to 1806, starting with a journey up the Missouri River, continuing across the mountains, as shown on the map, and then descending the Columbia River. This is the official map of the Lewis and Clark expedition.
They issued the official narrative or history of the expedition, and this was the official statement of what happened and all the discoveries. Included in that history was this map.
It was based on William Clark's manuscript map, which documented the sightings and surveys conducted by him and Meriwether Lewis. The same Lewis name is inscribed on this piece, which was printed in 1814. When it was published, the map was revolutionary, partly because Jefferson had facilitated the Louisiana Purchase. At the time, there was a belief that traveling up the Missouri River would lead to a relatively easy crossing to a river flowing westward, with only a short portage or the need for a canal. However, the long stretch of mountainous terrain dashed these hopes and shocked many. This map is considered one of the great American maps of the 19th century.
This map was published. Every map of the American West had to be redrawn.
Unfortunately, it is disheartening that someone wrote on it in ink. This fantastic piece was printed in 1814. The signature, likely that of an owner, was written in ink on the map, which is regrettable. The map was created from a copper engraving, and hundreds of copies were issued as part of the official report. These were distributed to members of Congress and other interested parties.
This map is really about the hottest map on the market right now. Now, you inherited this, so you don't have anything invested in it.
I really don't know.
Fortunately, modern methods are effective at removing ink, especially modern ink, which is easier to remove than older types. If this unique piece were in perfect condition, it would hold substantial value of.
Would be worth about $50,000.
However, the ink signature reduces its worth, diminishing its overall value significantly by
$5,000 to $10,000. However,
you're kidding.
Here we have the original letter written by the guest's great-grandmother when she was 8 years old and sent to the editor. Virginia O'Hanlon, the great-grandmother in question, wrote a letter to the New York Sun in 1897, asking the editor whether Santa Claus was real after having asked her father the same question. The editorial response was written by Francis P. Church, who coined the famous phrase, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus." This response by Mr. Church has been reprinted hundreds of thousands of times. The letter has been translated into many languages worldwide and is regarded as a wonderful free-verse poem. It is remarkable that Virginia O'Hanlon preserved this letter. The guest's mother acquired a large number of scrapbooks and photo albums, which she passed down to the guest. The appraiser suggested that, because it is not on acid-free paper, the guest should consider investing in preservation efforts to protect it. After conducting some research and consulting with several appraisers backstage, they concluded that this piece would fetch a significant value of
be worth between $20,000 and $30,000.
That's impressive.